Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Michael's Life Cycle, and today I'm going to be going over the top 10 places to visit in Detroit, Michigan. This has been a long awaited video. I know a lot of the people following this page have been wanting to hear more about Detroit and Detroit lifestyle, so yeah, this is going to be the top 10 places to visit. There's no specific order in this because each place is special for their own reason, you know? So it's not really like I can pick an order to this list, but this is my top 10. There's a lot more places and a lot more things to do in Detroit. So if you guys enjoy this video, let me know and I'll make more videos like this. But yeah, let's get right into it. And if I'm looking down at my phone, I'm just looking at the list that I wrote. So just so you guys know. So spot number 1 is Belle Isle. And Belle Isle is pretty known throughout the city. It's a huge location to visit. It's actually an island in between Canada and Detroit along the Detroit River. And if you're in the center of downtown, it's probably about 10 or 15 minutes from downtown up Jefferson Avenue. And the main attraction of Belle Isle is the view of the city. Most people go there around sunset time because the sun actually sets behind the skyline of Detroit. And you get to see the skyline of Windsor as well, so it's just a beautiful view. Actually, if you ask me, it's one of the best views in the country. And along with that, if you explore the rest of the island, there's some nice nature that you can check out, some small ponds and other sides of the island that you can relax and take your family or whatever, or even go on walks. There's some trails through there. Actually, there's also a beach on Belle Isle that you can visit if you just want to get your tan on or something. It's not the nicest beach, to be honest, but yeah, if you're into beaches, I heard the water now is you can swim in it and it's safe to swim in, unlike it used to be maybe 20 or 30 years ago. Yeah, the first location on this list is Belle Isle, and I think you guys will really enjoy it if you haven't been there yet, or if you're just visiting the city. You have to stop at Belle Isle and at least check out the sunset. It's definitely worth it. I recommend it. Location number 2 is the Riverfront and the Renaissance Center. Now, the Riverfront is located at the end of Detroit. Basically, if you're coming south, it's right along the Detroit River. You can see Windsor on the other side of it, and it's about a 2-mile strip, I'd say. Well, depending on how far you go, but maybe 2 or 3 miles. So if you're into jogging or walking, it's definitely a good spot to get a jog in. The views are amazing. Checking out Windsor and just being along the water is really nice. It's one of my favorite spots to just go on a walk and clear my mind and things like that. If you're in the city, it's kind of hard to miss, and if you're just exploring the city, you'll end up getting there eventually. It's near Hart Plaza and along Jefferson Avenue. But at one end of the Riverwalk is actually the Renaissance Center. And that's owned by GM, or it's also known as like the GM building. It's the biggest building in Detroit. You can't miss it. Actually, it's 5 buildings together, but together it's basically the pinnacle of Detroit, especially the skyline. It's just an amazing building to see. It's the biggest one in Detroit, so if you're walking through the city, you got to go check it out, or at least get a picture under it or something. And a little fun fact for you guys that I've heard is Ford actually used to own the building, and back in the day, I guess they were trying to sell the building to another company for whatever reason, and they didn't want to sell it to GM. So GM actually solicited a Canadian company to go and buy the Renaissance Center. So they funded it through the Canadian company. The Canadian company bought it and sold it to GM, I think, like the next day. So GM ended up getting a hold of it anyways, even though Ford didn't want them to have the building. So it just goes to show how ruthless business can be, and they were persistent and they wanted the building and they wanted their name on the top of the city, on the pinnacle. So they got it done, and now GM owns the building. So just kind of a funny story about the Renaissance Center for you guys, but I definitely recommend checking out the Riverwalk and the Ren Center. Number 3 is Riverside Park. Under the Ambassador Bridge. Now, it's not directly under the Ambassador Bridge, but you can get to it by going under the Ambassador Bridge. It's basically right next to it on the south side of the city, and it's, besides Belle Isle and Sunset Point, it's really like the best view of the city in my opinion. You also can go there at nighttime. There's a soccer field that they just recently built over there, and a skate park if you're into skateboarding or BMX or scooters or whatever. It's actually a really nice skate park. It's all concrete, and the soccer field's really nice as well. So if you guys are into those type of activities, you'll really enjoy that spot. The view behind the soccer field and the skate park is amazing, and there's a little park and walkway near the water that you can go to if you just want to take your family or just hang out and sit on a bench or something. But it's as far as views go, it's definitely the number 2 most amazing view in the city, in my opinion. And I definitely recommend checking it out, especially at night. It's pretty magical just seeing the lights of the Ambassador Bridge, especially next to the Detroit River. It's quiet and it's peaceful, and it's definitely worth checking out. Number 4 is the DIA Museum, or the Detroit Institute of Arts. Now, of all the museums in the city, I think this one definitely takes the cake. There are a few other museums, the African American Museum, the Science Museum, the History Museum, and I believe the Henry Ford Museum, which I really enjoyed the Henry Ford Museum a lot as well. It was pretty extensive, but none of them really compare to me, in my opinion, to the Detroit Institute of Arts, because for an art museum, it's actually one of the biggest ones in the country, and it's just the amount of art that they have in there is pretty amazing compared to most other museums that I've visited. They have a Van Gogh piece there and a lot of other nice pieces that are worth checking out, especially if you're into art. And even if you're not, I think it's worth checking out. And I believe if you're a Detroit resident, you might be able to get in there for free, but don't quote me on that because I'm not 100% sure. But either way, it's worth checking out. It's not expensive at all. And if you do go there, there's one painting that's my favorite painting in the museum, and it's supposed to replicate like an older, like maybe like 1500s style painting or 1600s, but it's actually modernized, and there's a guy riding a horse in a wife beater and jeans, I think, and maybe some Timbo boots. I don't know, but that's my favorite painting there. If you go there, I think it's in the upstairs somewhere. But let me know in the comments below if you know what I'm talking about, or if you visit there and you end up seeing this painting, let me know in the comments below. I'd be happy to hear about it. But yeah, the DIA is definitely worth a visit, and that's why I picked the DIA for the number 4 spot on this list. So number 5 is Campus Martius. And this is basically the heart of the city. It's in the middle of downtown. Basically, the entire city encapsulates Campus Martius. And if you're driving down Woodward to get to the city, you'll end up coming towards the center of the city where it's just a circle, it's just a loop, and that's Campus Martius. It's a park in the middle of the city, and you can't really miss it if you're exploring downtown and you're visiting, but if you get a chance, I definitely recommend walking through there just because it is the center of the city and there's huge buildings around it, and especially during Christmas time when they put up the Christmas lights on the tree and there's a little ice skating rink, it's definitely worth visiting or bringing your family if you're into that kind of thing. It's just a beautiful spot to visit, and there's so many things to do around the city that you can access from that point. And I think you can even get on the train that goes along Woodward, the Q line or whatever, if you're into that kind of thing, from Campus Martius. So it's just a good spot to walk through, a good spot to visit, and that's why I picked it for number 4 on this list. No, sorry, number 5 on this list. And yeah, Campus Martius, definitely worth it. Go check it out. Number 6 is the Edsel Ford House. Now, I don't believe that this one is actually located in Detroit. I think it's in Grosse Pointe. But it was the house that was owned by Edsel Ford, which is Henry Ford's son. And it's a massive mansion over in Grosse Pointe. Basically all along Jefferson Avenue, or what I believe is, it turns into a different road over there in Grosse Pointe, but it's huge houses over there. If you're from the city and you've been over there, you definitely know what I'm talking about. But one of the houses that is tucked back in the woods over there is the Edsel Ford House, which is now a museum. And you can take a tour through the house just to see what kind of lifestyle that the Fords were living in and the amount of money that they actually had at the time. Just when you go in and you see the front yard, you'll know what I'm talking about when I talk about money and the amount that they had. but their lifestyle living in that house was just amazing to see, especially taking a tour through there. They'll explain everything about the house and the Fords and the Ford family. Yeah, even the gardens on the side of the house are like impeccable, and on the back side where the backyard is, that's the Detroit River. So it's a beautiful home. I definitely recommend checking it out and just getting an idea of what the lifestyle used to be back in the day in Detroit for the super rich. And if you do end up going there, there's one room that, this is a spoiler alert, so turn off the video now if you don't want to hear about it, but there's one room in there that was basically modeled after a 1970s style architecture, and that's my favorite room in the house. It's super unique, and if you've been there and you know what I'm talking about, let me know in the comments below, or if you're gonna visit and you end up seeing it, let me know, because I'd be looking forward to hear about it, because that was my favorite room in the house. Although there is so many rooms in that house, so it's definitely worth checking out. Number 7 is Eastern Market. Now, Eastern Market is a pretty small part of the city, over on the side where the Renaissance Center is at. So if you do end up visiting Riverwalk or Renaissance Center, I definitely recommend checking out Eastern Market as well. It's a pretty small part of the city. I think they're pretty much known over there in that region for the farmers market that goes on every Saturday, I believe. I've only been there a couple times to buy food, and there's more than just food there. There's also some thrift shops that are open on that day, and a lot of people walking through Eastern Market just to buy food and flowers or whatever they even sell over there. It's worth checking out, especially if you're into art. There's some amazing murals in the streets over there, and especially if you're into graffiti or any type of art, if you're into murals, definitely go check that out, because there's some amazing artwork over there, and it's worth at least exploring for a little bit. There's some food that you can get over there during the day as well, so it's worth the explore, and I definitely recommend checking out Eastern Market. Number 8 on this list is Greektown. And Greektown is basically just one little street in downtown Detroit near the Renaissance Center. Basically, the biggest building over there is the Greektown Casino, and what's nice about the Greektown Casino is they actually have parking, a huge parking deck that you can just park there, and you can explore Greektown pretty much right there. It's all pretty compact within that one street. Yeah, there's just a bunch of bars. If you're into like bar hopping, or if you're into the casino, you can go to the casino. It's a really nice casino. Yeah, that's just about it. It kind of reminds me of like Little Italy in New York, if you've ever been there in New York City, but it's just one strip in Detroit, and it's really nice hang out at night. I believe on the weekends they actually cut the street off so you can walk in the street, and it's just a cool part of the city that I definitely think deserves a spot on this list as one of the top 10 places in Detroit to visit, and I definitely recommend checking it out if you get a chance. Number 9 on this list is Mexican Town. Now, this is on the opposite side of the city as Greektown, over near the Ambassador Bridge. I believe it's in Detroit, but it's a little further away from downtown than most other spots on this list, but it's worth checking out. You'll know that you're there when you see all of the signs are in Spanish. I actually used to work over there for a nonprofit organization coaching wrestling for the youth, and it was actually kind of funny. I think I coached about 30 kids, and no one in the camp could speak English besides one kid. He was 8 years old, and he would be my translator to all the Spanish kids, which was kind of funny, or Mexican kids. But yeah, I miss going over there. It's a cool spot in the city to check out. If you're into authentic Mexican food, I definitely recommend going over there, because there's no better place in the city to get Mexican food than Mexican Town, obviously. And they have great prices too. I love Mexican food, so whenever I'm trying to get Mexican food, that's where I like to go. But yeah, Mexican Town definitely deserves a spot on this list, and I recommend checking it out. There's actually one other place that's a hometown restaurant in Mexican Town that I believe was on Food Network, either with Guy Fieri or Anthony Bourdain or so one of them. They went there and explored this restaurant called Dooley's Place. It's an old restaurant. They sell sliders. It's very small. It's just one little bar set up. But if you're into sliders and old school hometown restaurants, just getting you a quick burger, definitely recommend checking it out. It's one of my favorite spots to get a burger in the city. It's cheap, it's old school, you know, but it's worth checking out Dooley's place in Mexican Town. But other than that, I think Mexican Town definitely deserves a spot on this list, so definitely go check it out. And last but not least, my favorite spot in the city. I'm a little biased because I used to actually live on this street, and to me it's one of the most beautiful streets in the country. I think it was actually ranked in one magazine's list as being top 10 most beautiful streets in the country, but it's Pallister Street. And Pallister Street is actually located in Midtown, and even a lot of Detroit residents don't know about this location. It's near the Fisher Building, and it's just one block of a brick paved road, and there's lights along each side of it, and when you're walking down it, it literally just feels like you're in France or something. And I used to actually live on the brick road, and you'll see Detroit Victorian style houses all along it. It's just, if you're into Detroit architecture and seeing what the houses, you know, look like from an older era, it's definitely a nice spot to check out. Even just getting a quick walk down Pallister Street, walking down the path and just taking a quick stroll, it's worth checking out for sure. And like I said, I used to live on that street, so it just has a special place in my heart. I wish I could go back to that house, honestly. When I get a bunch of money, I'm gonna go back to that house and try to buy it. But yeah, Pallister Street over near Midtown. I definitely recommend checking it out. It's worth your time for sure. But yeah, that just about wraps up my list for the top 10 places in Detroit to visit. I'm excited to drop this video. I know a lot of people that have followed my channel have been wanting to see more content about Detroit, so I hope this suffices. Suffices, I think is the word. Yeah, suffices. I hope this is enough, basically, for you guys. I'm gonna make more videos on Detroit, and yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you're into this kind of content, let me know in the comments below. And if you like the video, maybe consider liking or subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. But yeah, that's about it. These are the top 10 places to visit in Detroit, Michigan. And thank you guys for watching. Peace.